Hey friends, it's Carol, Saltbox Stitcher. I'm back for video number 68. Subscribe, like, and share. Okay. Yes, I'm thankful he's my helper. For all the people that have thanked him, he says you're welcome, but I say don't encourage him. You'll have more doorbells ringing all through my video. He walks away smiling. This is going to be an eclectic. Maybe I'll just name it eclectic video. Although that's Emily C's tagline is eclectic possessions, or I could say it's all over the place. I have a few things around me to show you, and I'm going to show you first some FFO'S, and I'm going to show you what I've been stitching on. I'll show you a few things that came in the mail that I ordered, and then I'm going to show you some why haven't I finished this yet, and then I'm going to tag team Rachel from Needle and Flax and do some border finishes charts. Oh, somewhere in there I'm also going to show you some things I want to start, that I'm dying to start. Now, what did I say was first? Oh my, it is Saturday and I have no idea what time it is. You know, if you hit your watch a certain way, it tags the little thing on the end and then Siri comes up. And so if you're talking, Siri just types all that stuff you're talking. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, how are you? Welcome back. I had a milestone. I got over 15,000 subscribers. Who knew? Who knew? When I tell my kids that, that's the best reaction, is to tell your kids, oh, I have 15,000 subscribers. And they're like, what? Listening to you, Mom? They love me. What's going on? Well, last night we went to a moms versus the kids, which would be my grandson's team, baseball game. My daughter got quite a few good hits. I was surprised because she didn't play sports in high school. Anyway, it was fun. So it's Saturday. Hopefully this will get uploaded today. I don't know. We'll see. So first I'm going to show you my little basket of some FFO'S. 3 little ones to be exact. Hold please. Okay. So this is my little, whoa. This won't stay out here because it's not really living room, but this is my little bowl of fun goodies. And so I thought I'd show you some things that are in here. This is an antique Puritan pins. They were rustless. Bank pins. I don't know what a bank pin was. For papers or heavy materials. Bank pins. It's empty. And then, let me see, I have some things organized here, so let me see if I can. I'm sort of organized. I'm trying to be organized. How's that? Now I know I just got that pattern out. What do you do with it? Oh my. It's a sad day when you lose your brain. Here it is. This is one I did a while ago. This is Brenda Gervais, Queen of the Needle. She was kind of a grayish, tannish, taupish rickrack. I used a red rickrack. It's filled with sawdust. Queen of the Needle by With Thy Needle and Thread. And then I had this scissors pin. It's actually sterling silver, I think. It's a pin, you know, like you'd wear on your clothing. I think it was originally, I bought it. I used to have it, well, I probably still have it, a chatelaine. A chatelaine is like, it goes around your neck and it has all your tools hanging from it, like your awl and your scissors and your seam ripper. And so I had a kit years ago. I'll have to get that out sometime and show you. They were all brass, so they've kind of tarnished. But this is Queen of the Needle, Brenda Gervais. I just use, actually that's a blackbird fabric, I think. A twill. Love her tomato with her crown. She's a cutie. Love a flower coming out of a spool. Anyway, so that's in there. This is in there. This was by Under the Woolen Willow. A shell. Tomato. That's wool on cotton. And then I have a couple of antique. I have a little tomato pin. I think that one was from Under the Woolen Willow. Under the Woolen Willow too. I have a little tiny tomato that my friend Pam gave me. I have a couple of antique tomatoes. I don't have a lot of them. I have a few. It's not something I necessarily would say I'm a collector of. And then I have 3 finishes. And these finishes, okay, I got to find a place to put stuff. Are from 3 FFO'S, I should say. From the Keeper of the Pins book, which was just released at Market by Brenda Gervais. And I've done 3. I'm kind of done. Although I sort of would like to do the girl here, but I'm not ready to do it yet. So I don't know. I love her little display here. I love this piece of fabric or tea towel, whatever that is too. So the 3 that I chose to do, this one, which has the bird, and the, what are these called? It's some sewing clamp, I think. And I put this needles and pins on the back, and then I use the kind of, this actually is rickrack that I got from Brenda Gervais, so it does match. I have a few packs of her rickrack. She still sells them on her her online shop, which is countrystitchesonline.com. So I have that one finished. I finished this one, which is the spool with the tomatoes and the strawberry. And this one I used the fabric. This is all from a Riley Blake line of fabric. 1, 2, 3. It's a measuring tape one. And then I finished this one and put cording. And the cording I used was the, I did this late last night, so I might need some touch up on my glue, because I glue these on. I ain't got time for sewing them. I used the same DMC number 22 to do the cording as you use for the stitching. So let me tell you a little secret. It's not a secret, it's really a tip. Tip of the day. So I went to Hobby Lobby to get the beads that the pattern calls for. Well, they were out of that size. So I thought, well, I'll get ones just a little bigger. I mean, you know, how much difference can it make if they're just one number bigger? Well, it made a lot of difference. I had them all sewed on. I didn't like them. All you could see were these white beads. And I'm talking about the heads of the pins. Let me show you this one better. So as I'm finishing it, I wasn't in the mood to go to a different Hobby Lobby to see if they'd gotten the size in right. So I took all the beads off that I had sewn on. And I thought, well, I'll just do French knots. I mean, that's no big deal. Just do French knots. And I once learned in embroidery, a true French knot only has one wrap. If it has more than one wrap, it's a bullion stitch. I don't know if that's law or gospel or what, but if you want a thicker, bigger French knot, you still just do one, but you use more strands. Another tip of the day. So in looking at my myriad of stuff that I have that's sewing related, I remembered that I have these applique pins that have a little white head on them. They're short. Let me see if I can show you just one. Oops. Okay, so if I put so they're maybe 5/8 of an inch. Oh, I didn't trim my nails. I usually trim my nails. Sorry. I wish I had the money to go get my nails done all the time. Although I don't know that I would like painted nails all the time. To me, they're kind of weighty. I don't know. That's off the subject. Anyway, so I just got these applique pins out and just poked them in. So for example, here's the pin. So if you don't want to sew on a bunch of beads, just get yourself some applique pins and just pin them. It is a pin cushion after all. Oh, I was so impressed with myself. I thought, well, that's just genius, Carol. And then I have a little pair of scissors in here. I have a great big tomato, and I have some other goodies. So this is just kind of a fun. This will go back in my sewing room if I have room on the shelf. We'll see. I don't know if I'll leave everything in the bowl. I don't know. We'll see. Oh, and then I have this, which was actually something we made from a printed piece of fabric. It was at a Brenda Gervais. It was a retreat with Brenda. Looks like I'm missing a pin. Oh well. It's just a piece of fabric, and we made it into this little scissor fob. So I have that on there. And then the little quilt that it's on is spools. I don't know where that came from. This is a Temecula mini quilt, Temecula Quilt Company. She closed her store, but I still get her emails. So if you're interested in doing mini quilts, sign up for Temecula Quilt Company emails. So then I thought about a few other things that I didn't show last week that pertain to stitching. Well, first of all, it's on my agenda this week. I want to start and finish this I Collect. Oops. Because I think it would be cute in that bowl too. And this is also by Brenda Gervais with Thy Needle and Thread. And I have a piece of Winter Brew that I cut off of a sampler. It actually calls for straw, which is a little bit darker, but that's what I'm going to use. And there's the colors. And then I'm going to do one more of those Keeper of the Pins, the one with just the small tomato and all of the, let's see, where is it? Hold please. I don't, maybe she doesn't show a picture of it. It's this one, where she just does one tomato and then the buttons. I mean, how easy is that? And I have tons of pearl buttons, because I actually used to buy them for kids' clothes, so I have a lot of different sizes. Okay, so that's on my radar to do. And then I thought I'd show you a few other things. I did this years ago. I don't know why in the world I have not framed it. Well, I know, because I counted yesterday. I have 31. Now, some are not real big. Like I included that CC and Me, which is by Scarlet House, and it's not huge. But I have 31 samplers that are finished but not framed. So maybe next year I won't go to any retreats and I'll just work on doing framing. Anyway, long story short, this is another Brenda Gervais. This is called the Needleworker Sampler. Like I said, I did this years ago. You can, I need to just like hem stitch this and then just like lay it in the bowl. Needleworker Sampler. Brenda Gervais, With Thy Needle and Thread. And here's the finished piece. It says, all my scattering moments are taken up with my needle. I did it on 40 count, some kind of picture this plus. I used to think I had to use the called for. So 40 count doubloon by picture this plus. So it's fun, cute red house. I need to have it framed or something done with it. So that's kind of stitching related. And then, oh shoot, I bet I put it at the very bottom of this thing. Here, maybe I can get it out. I did this one years ago. This is Needle Woman by the Primitive Hair. And I did this in obviously 2018. Now it is supposed to be, the instructions for finishing it are not that great. So I did this part of it. But then it doesn't really tell you what to do. I think this is supposed to be folded up like a pocket. And then this folds over. Maybe put a loop and a button here. I'm not sure. So it's another one I just kind of have sitting around. And the cabinet where I did my, in front of my, or the cabinet behind the quilt video I did, one shelf of that has a lot of cross stitch in it. So this is one of the ones that just kind of sits in there. But the B-skep, the scissors, it says busy as a busy bee. Primitive Hair. I don't know if that was, I think that might have been a kit. I definitely used 2 strands, and I think it's on about 30 count. Anyway, I love that. So why haven't I finished it? Good question. And then I did this one by Scarlet House Samplers. A lot of people have done this. Some people have made it into a drum. Mine is like this. Samplers by Scarlet House. This is 40 count ale, but mine actually measured 44. So it was kind of a tight stitch. 1 strand, but I love it. And I think I just want to frame it. And then I also did this one. I belong to the Cross Stitch Nation. This is by Beth Twist, Heartstring Samplery. I framed this one myself. And this one I did in 2020. This frame actually matches it really good. It looks really green here, but it's almost exactly the same color as this last girl's dress. That's a fun one. I didn't do a great job of pinning it, but... And actually, if I had another frame like this, the sampler one would fit in here perfect. But I had like 3 of these frames, but I've used them all. I don't know where I bought them. They were real primitive frames. So I finished all the stitching on the Keeper of the Pin. Not all of it, but I finished the 3, and I FFO'd those. The other thing for these last 2 weeks is that I've been a totally monogamous stitcher, other than a little bit on those. And that is on Miss Lucy Calcott, 1825. I love her. I can't put it down. It is my goal to finish her by the end of April. So I have 8 days. I think 30th of April is Saturday. 9 days. I don't know. Anyway. And next week, a friend that's in one of the stitching groups I'm in is doing a Thursday, Friday, Saturday stitch-in at her house just during the day, those 3 days. I don't know if I'll go Thursday because we're going to have the kids, grandkids. But Miss Lucy Calcott, I want to finish it. I'll have that out. And here is, let's see, let's move this needle. I'm telling you, when I'm done at the end of the day, it can be just like in the middle of a stitch. I didn't go to bed till 2 last night. And here's where I am on it. So last time I was working on those orange baskets just to the sides of the house. Let me fold it in half and show you. So I finished all the border flowers and stems. Move my coffee, lest I coffee dye part of it. So there's like stems. And this is one that's kind of interesting border. Did I say that already about Rachel and her? Don't ask me to repeat. My husband and I, when we get in a tussle, he'll say, well, you said such and such. I'm like, I did? I don't remember word by word what I said. I guess that's true proof that I babble. Anyway, Rachel did borders last night. Not last night. On her video yesterday that I happened to watch last night. So I'll show you some pretty borders on some of the finished pieces I've done. So anyway, that's where I am on Lucy. So I'm working on this pot or flower or whatever. I have to do this one over here. And then I just have to do these, which really isn't that bad because most of the heavily colored multiple thread changes are below that. So once I do this one and this one, some of that is just, not as many color changes. And the words are not over 1, her name, and she was 8 years old. And I kind of wonder if she stitched from the bottom up, because these are kind of monotone-ish, and then you get into all these, and some of these flowers, there's just like every flower has 3 different colors, and there are 10 flowers on a tree. So either she ran out of some of her beautiful colors, or if she was going down, maybe she acquired more. I don't know. That'd be curious to know how they, what order they stitched back in the day. Did they do the border first? Did they start from the bottom up? Did they come top down and just do the border as they went? I don't know. It'd be interesting. I don't know how you would know that because obviously it's all stitched. So unless, somebody ran out of a color or, but how do you know if they ran out or if they just acquired new colors? I don't know. Now I'm babbling. So anyway, I'm really anxious to finish this. It's my goal to finish it by the end of April. So I'm going to be stitching on this today, probably a little bit tomorrow, although we may go watch baseball tomorrow. We'll see. And I'm using the Versoix Soie d'Alger. Pretty colors. Oops. I do put them in floss away bags. I've shown before that I use the thread keep kind of thing that comes with it, that with a lot of the project bags, and it has the flannel, and you can just set your extra strands on that. So I do use that a lot. So that's what I've been stitching. I could end the video right now, 24:50. but I won't. I wanted to show you a few things that I've acquired. I love this style from Scarlet Letter, and a lot of these are actually, they're not exact reproductions. They're adaptations from what's called canvas work, I think. Similar to my, I didn't get it out, but my Jane Atkinson that I'm working on. Also a unicorn, peacock, and a peacock, unicorn, and badger. That one by Scarlet Letter. I know Jen from Quirks and Stitches has finished it. I know Teresa Kitten Stitcher's working on it. I have the chart and I'm ready to go. And there's 2 gals in my stitching group that are working on that unicorn and badger. So anyway, so I bought this one. It's called And All Was for an Apple, Appil. I just love that funky Adam and Eve. The sun with the face. This just like is so cool. So cool. Look at the stormy clouds up there. I love this. And All Was for an Apple. So someday soon, this came out in 1998, so it's not new. So I love this. On 35 count linen, it'll be 13 1/4 by 16 3/4. So on 40 count, it won't be huge, 12 1/2 by 15 or something. I guess that's pretty big. I don't know. And then I got something last time that I don't know if I showed you, but from Needle and Flax, Rachel, I ordered the Sarah Fletcher kit with the DMC. I'm doing it on Thornfield. Am I covering up the name? Thornfield. This is Needle and Flax linen with the DMC that came in the kit. And there's the chart. And then a friend of mine who has another friend that lives close to London, and the friend of mine, Ruth, well, they're both friends of mine. I mean, I know both of them, but I know the gal in England too. I've met her. Hi, Susan. Anyway, she went to England and she was able to get for me, because I wanted it to be purchased in England. You can have Hands Across the Sea send you stuff, so I know that, but there was something special. This had just come out when she went, and so I said, get me the Mary Wigglesworth by Hands Across the Sea. This one on 40 count will be 12 1/2 by 12 1/2. It's not huge. And again, I'm going to be doing that on Thornfield. These I had this one. I had ordered this a long time, the Thornfield, a long time ago. And then I got the 103 silk. So I really want to start that. But I'm determined to wait till I'm finished with Lucy. And then I also got this from Country Sampler, Ellen Carr, 1843 by Needlework Press. This was from the Threads of History Club. Funny thing about this one, when Fox and Rabbit came, Karen and Bren, when they came to America for market, then they did like this tour of all these different shops and sightseeing type places. And one of the places they went was Country Sampler. So they had pictures on Instagram from Country Sampler. And one of the pictures showed this framed. And I was like, oh, what is that chart? So I called. Isn't it funny how we do this when really we should be doing this? Because this is how we talk anymore. We don't talk like this. Hang up. Oh, we haven't adjusted to that. Anyway, I said, what is the sampler? And it's on such and such table, and here's what's next to it. And she said, oh, I think that's our next club piece. And I was like, yay, I'm getting it. So when it came, I was just thrilled because I love this blue and red. I just love this. And there are two different thread choices. One is for the cover model, which is what Needlework Press charted it. And then one is the Schoolgirl Kit Colors. I don't know if when this comes out it'll have both or not. But anyway. Beautiful. And it's done on, what linen is this? Good question. I don't know. It looks like, it looks like maybe Picture This Plus Ren. I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't really say what it's done. But I did get the 40 count kit. So I got that. So my next segment, segment 2, is why haven't I finished these? So in my desire, I guess, in my wanting to stitch new things, I also want to finish things that I've started. I did go through my whips, and some of the whips I had that I only had a couple stitches in, and maybe they were like 30 count from a long time ago. I was like, I might do the chart, but I'm gonna restart it. So then it's not really a whip. There's a few I have here that are Blackbird. I love this chart. This is in Sarah's House by Blackbird. I don't know if this chart is available. I mean, this book. I don't know. Sarah's House. This would not be difficult. I always thought there was something wrong with the chart, but it's just that flower sticking over. I love the quilt in the background, too. Oh. Anyway. Sarah's House by Blackbird. And this was actually, was this a Loose Feathers? Loose Feathers Summer 2012. Loose Feathers Summer 2012. And here's my start, which is very minimal. Did you think you were coming to a FlossTube where every piece that's shown would be nicely pressed on a whiteboard? Sorry. You're in the wrong place. So I do have a little tiny start, and I'll tell you what kind of is throwing me on this. The border has, let me see if I, these are the silks that it calls for. So the border has two different colors of kind of teal. You can kind of see right here where there's a difference. So this is darker, and then that goes into lighter. So when I kitted it up, mine were like the same. I can't remember what it called for. Ivy League, and let's see, what was the other one? Does it matter? No. Anyway, mine were the same. So I've gone through and tried to come up with, I want two different teals. So this is one, and I may use this, which technically are the same color, both Ivy League, but they came out at different times. So I think there's enough variation in those two. So I need to finish that. That's why haven't I finished this yet. And even though I don't have a very big start, that's not a big chart. The stitch count is 122 by 233. So it's long, but it has a lot of open space. This one is also on there that I love. So there's a number of things in this book that I would like to do. So that's a why haven't I finished this yet? Here's another why haven't I finished this yet? And I've seen people have this on their walls, and it's like, come on, Carol, come on. Get with the program. This is Maria Selby Humphrey. I love this. This ticks all my vintage sampler buttons. It's not the brights like Hands Across the Sea or that Lucy Calcott, but it's the dull, looks like an antique that somebody used for a dish rag, dish towel, dish washcloth, dishcloth. My mom used to call them dish rags. So, you know, it sticks. Maria Selby Humphrey. I've kind of jumped around on this a little bit, but I do have more than just a tiny start. So I need to finish this. What the heck? 'Tis education that forms the common mind. There's no over one. Let's see what the 'tis education forms the common mind. Just as the twig is bent, the tree is inclined. A good conscience is both testimony and reward of good life. Virtue is the foundation of honor and esteem and the source of all order and happiness in nature. So Maria Selby Humphrey. This might be get back to this soon. Or at least by fall. You know, if these kind of colors don't appeal now, maybe by fall. But I love it. I love it. And here are all those muted colors. There's actually a kind of a bluey green, a blue. It's not just browns and tans. And then we have two other blackbird ones that I have a little bit of a start. This one is Little Birds. This is still available. Came out a few years ago. Blackbird. I'm using Heartland by Picture This Plus, and I have a start on the border. Am I showing you the right side? I always have a fear I'm not showing you the right side. So here we go. Now that's an intense border. But I will do the border first. I may do this inner border here. Because, you know, it's really easy to count on those. Just, you know, it's just 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. And it's easy to get off on this border because I've done it. But I love this piece. And it's big and it's beautiful. So I'm definitely, it's $3.95 by $3.39 stitch count, so it's not for the faint of heart. But that's a gorgeous border. And then it just has Alma's name. So it's not really, it may be fashioned after a reproduction, but it's not a reproduction. So it's one I will put my own name, maybe. Alma Allen has a lot fewer letters than Carol Whitchurch, so I don't know. The next one is Come Into My Garden, another gorgeous one. I think this is so funny because this was in 2019. I went to a retreat at Country Sampler Spring Green, and Barb was there. Alma was not, because one of Alma's sons was getting married. So she didn't get it finished. Now, since then, if you buy the chart, you will find the finished. But Barb was like, oh, yeah, I didn't finish that. So I just took a picture of how far I'd gotten. She was so, what's the word? Just kind of nonchalant about it. And this is where I am. I have the whole border outlined. I'm working on that alphabet, and I've got part of the house, the windows kind of sketched in, so to speak. So this one I'm further along than I am on Little Birds, so I need to really pump it up on this one. Oh wow, I only sneezed once. That's crazy. So anyway, that's another one that I need to get back to. So that's a few of my whips that I picked. Oh, and here's the colors for that come into my garden. I think Daisy Case Primitives is working on that. Those are all the called for on all of those whips. Okay, next I'm going to show you things that I want to stitch that are calling my name. So let me get these out and then I can stick them back in. Am I going to get these started? No, not soon. I'm a dreamer and a realist. I can dream about starting and finishing all these. I can dream about all my samplers I have finished being framed. But realistically, sometimes it doesn't happen. This is one that I see every time I either go to Country Sampler in Spring Green or I see pictures of their walls. And this is an Erica, it's on the wall. This is Erica Michaels. It's Mary Haven's 1837. Now there's a cool border. And look at that pot of flowers next to that house. Fabulous. Here's a picture of the antique. Again, this is by Erica Michaels, Mary Haven's 1837. Erica Michaels has some beautiful reproduction samplers. So here's the antique. Love it. And here is what it's kitted with. Now this is the Country Sampler conversion. But that's what it's kitted with. I may change the linen because I bought this a while ago. It looks like 32, but it may be, no, it's 36 parchment. So maybe I'll do it on the 36. The other thing that Country Sampler does is they kind of soak their, the gal that does their model stitching, she like soaks the thread so it won't run. And then after the piece is finished, she either spritzes it with some sort of like walnut crystal liquid or she dunks it. So that's how they get that real aged look on a lot of their models. So that's one. And I've had that for a long time. And every time I see pictures of Country Sampler, I'm like, why haven't I done this? Rachel showed this one last night on her video. She has it finished. This is Rachel Long by Needle Made Designs, Linda Vinson. Love it. I have kitted it with the called for. I believe this is either, I think this is Weeks Straw. Pretty sure this is Weeks Straw. I have not started this. And these are the silks. So it's a beauty. It's a beauty. And these are the silks that it calls for. So yes, Rachel Long. I love the red house and I love that border. It's beautiful. I'm kind of tag teaming on Rachel here with these beautiful borders. I think, Rachel, why don't you just set my agenda? And then I don't have to worry about content. I just say, okay, Rachel talked about beautiful borders, or Rachel talked about big samplers. And if you don't know who I'm talking about Needle and Flax FlossTube. Her name is Rachel. She also is the purveyor of her own hand-dyed linens, which are gorgeous. So go check out her FlossTube. She's also going to be doing a YouTube Live this Saturday night in our house coats. I kind of was half kidding about wearing a peignoir. I did used to have one years ago. We'll see. I may be in sweats. Next one that I'd love to do, and I don't necessarily want to take all these out because some of these are those crummy bags that stick. And I've actually lost, like, not lost, but I've had situations where the sticky stuff gets on the front of the chart and pulls off some of the, I know that's a lot of crinkling, but this is Margaret Croft. This was part of the schoolgirl club from Country Sampler. I'll take it out of the plastic. You got that much crinkling, you might as well get to see, at least see the chart, right? I hate these bags. I hate these bags. I'm sure they're cheaper, so I get it. Margaret Croft Needlework Press. How beautiful is that? Beautiful. And the linen for this is kind of greenish. What does it call for? Corn Silk by Weeks. Beautiful color. But if you don't have access to that, you might want to use Alcott by Needle and Flax. Here's another one. This is Anne Gott. This was an exclusive to the attic for a while. And this one I have kitted with the 103 silks. And a piece of 46 count straw by Weeks. I mean, every one of these, I'm like, oh, I want to do that. Oh, I want to do that. Okay, there's no crying and stitching, Carol. You know, that's a saying. There's no crying in baseball. Oh. My poor daughter, when she played last night, she can hit, but she can't run. She's like her mother. This one is one of the Cross Stitch Antiques charts. It's, I think Rachel might have shown this last night. Beautiful, another beautiful border. Sarah Williams, Holyhead. It's a Welch sampler. And this one I have kitted with corn tassel with the called for NPI silks. I love this. I just want to do this. Maybe there is crying and stitching. I have two more cross stitch antiques I want to show you. Oh, it's 48 minutes. I still have a bunch of frame stuff I want to show you. This one's Mary Green by Cross Stitch Antiques. Another beautiful one. And you know, I watched Christy Crosshatch Quilts. She had a wonderful, well, all of her videos are wonderful. And her last one was really, really pretty. And she had some beautiful things. And she just finished Floral Motif. I haven't started that one. But I also have His Eyes on the Sparrow, which I have started. So it's like, that could almost go into the why haven't I finished this? Or at least why am I not stitching on it? It's like Hawker and Hollow. It's like, oh, I'll get back to that at some point, and I'm not doing that. I think I need more self-talk. Although that's really what FlossTube is. Let's face it, we're just talking to ourselves. And my husband, if he can hear me. This Mary Green I have kitted with a piece of 46 count straw, again, from the attic, with these luscious, beautiful silks. Look at those colors. This is good enough to eat. Let's face it. That looks like a beautiful salad. A little red pepper. What else? Oh, I put dried cranberries on a good salad. So you got some dried cranberries, got your lettuce. Okay, what would be blue? blue cheese. I don't like blue cheese, but blue cheese maybe. But we got to get rid of this dead lettuce. Oh, maybe that could be some nuts. Put some almonds on your salad. Okay, I'm really off the rails now. Here's another, this was new at market. This is, I had a father, kind and true, and oh my goodness, did I ever have a wonderful dad. He was very funny, very witty. I think he coined the phrase, freeze your Kaporowski off, which we never knew what that meant. He would always call people knuckleheads. Till my mom started calling him a knucklehead. This I have with 46 count Old Sheep by X Jude, and this one is that I had a father, and I had that kitted with, or the 103s. Okay, this is totally Rachel's fault, or responsibility, I guess I should say. This is Elizabeth Cheatham. She has started this one, and I had it in my Scarlet Letter bin. I have it kitted with the Aversois silks and a piece of some sort of Lakeside. Maybe it's pecan butter. No, I think it's a Zweigart. Anyway. Elizabeth Cheatham. I could do this all day. I could just show you stuff all day long. Maybe I should do the YouTube live. Just show you charts for 6 hours. Elizabeth Harding by Hands Across the Sea. Another one Rachel made me kit up. Oh, I love this. Love that. This is my favorite kind of sampler. Red house, a verse, beautiful border, some flowers, some birds. Oh. This is my sweet spot as far as samplers. And that's kitted with something and some, I think this is, yeah, some Aversois. It's kitted with Vintage Sand Dune by Lakeside. Beautiful. Some of these are kind of long-term things, so it's like, you know, I could at least start them, right? This is one that just came out at market. This is Elizabeth Hunt by With Thy Needle and Thread. Again, my type of beautiful sampler. Beautiful border. Red house, birds. Wonderful verse. This girl was 7 years old. And this is the antique on the back. So this is by With Thy Needle and Thread, Brenda Gervais, Elizabeth Hunt, 1845. Oh my gosh. Another With Thy Needle and Thread that just came out. This is Rejoice Evermore, With Thy Needle and Thread. I have it kitted. I have it kitted with a piece of Seraphim antique lace. I had 3 pieces of antique lace and they're all different. So I was like, okay. To me, this looks the most like the picture, although I know the pictures can be off, but it's that light color. Again, red house, beautiful border, birds, flowers, alphabet. Then at our stitching group, the gal that was, her name is Allison, and she was sitting next to me, and she had, she was the one that was working on Unicorn Badger and Peacock Unicorn Badger by Scarlet Letter. It's a full coverage piece. It's gorgeous, but it's huge. So she showed me 2 of her, well, she was working on that one, and then she showed me her whip of this one, which is Jane Hopkins, 1875. And she's kind of about down to here. She's done that beautiful blue flower. Beautiful basket. I said, oh, I think I have that kitted. This one calls for vintage sand dune. And I have a piece of 40 count vintage sand dune by Lakeside. Some of these Lakeside pieces I've had for a long time. And I've been saving them for pieces like this that are just gorgeous. So this is vintage sand dune. It's kind of close to straw by Weeks. And I'm using the Vicki Clayton silks, which is HDF, hand-dyed fibers. So I'm using these silks, and it'll be gorgeous. Do I want to just start it? Absolutely. Have I lost my marbles? Maybe. Obviously, there weren't as many marbles in that marble can that my husband gave me, so either he's lost his or I'm losing mine. Okay, I'm at almost an hour, but I have some things I pulled off the wall, and these were either mentioned or additional ones that have beautiful borders. Oh, shoot, there was one more I was going to get. That's all right. I'd have to stand on the couch, and that might be disastrous. I might fall. So, let me see if I can get the order correct, how I have these stacked up. You've seen all of these before, so maybe this is just kind of a refresh. The first one, this is not necessarily the beautiful border one, but this is one that Rachel showed the chart, that she had been gifted this chart by Ellen Chester, who is with my needle. This is Hannah Cummins, 1828. I have loved this forever. There's a lot of ghosting on this. Some of the alphabet is ghosted. Some of the girl's name is kind of ghosted. I did use all of the called for DMC, I believe. I think it calls for DMC. Oh, no, NPI silks. That's what I would have used, NPIs. I've been collecting NPI silks for a long time. So a lot of times, if something uses NPI, I don't have that much that I have to get new. So this is Hannah Cummins. So Rachel, you need to do this one. I love this. This is it's not necessarily that classic Red House alphabet look, but this is the other type of sampler that really floats my boat, and that is just something that looks like an antique. And Ellen charts it just like perfect from the antique. Hannah Cummins. I love how her the S on her name. She probably said to her mom, why did we have to have Cummins? Why didn't we just say Cummin? Because that little S above the N is over one. Okay, let me see if I can do this. These next ones are ones that I think are beautiful borders. This one I've shown before. This is just stuck in a frame. I should probably have this professionally framed and then put that sampler's one that I showed you earlier. This is done on something Sparrow linen, and it's not Hands to Work, Hearts to Work, or Handwork Primitives maybe. And this is for Hetty, Hetty. I love this, but that's a cool border. It looks like Argyle socks. Though far distant, often think of me, for Hetty, 1837. I don't think it's a reproduction, but I love it. This is This is just a cool little chart. I couldn't find the chart to that. I don't know what I did with it. It's not in my charts that I have done, that I keep in a kind of a bin under the bed. This is one that I think has a really cool border. I think Carol Crago on Instagram just finished this. This is by Plum Street, and it's called the Pink House Sampler. Another one that I stitched a while ago, and I really like this. Now, this isn't a reproduction, so I put my grandfather's mother's name. Her name was Laura Fields when she got married. She was Laura Fields Thompson. And I love this border because look at the bottom of the border. There's little sheep running across the bottom of the border. How fun is that? Complete with a little shepherdess right here. Love it, love it, love it. This one, this is, I don't know what I stitched this on. But this is a common verse. The loss of a father is much, the loss of a mother is more. The loss of Christ is such no other can restore. And I believe she was born in 1866. The best of my sister and my ability to research, I think she was born in 1866. So this would be my great-grandmother, my mother's father's mother. Pink House Sampler by Plum Street. Now I have to remember where all these go on the wall. Sometimes I take a picture before I take stuff on the wall so that I'll remember where it goes. The next one, and like I said, I've shown these all to you before, but I was kind of reminded by the beautiful border. And I love a beautiful border, and I love to stitch the borders. I love it. To me, it's like putting a picture frame on a picture before you put the picture in. You pick the frame that's going to be perfect for that picture, and then you put the picture in. So it's like picking out a frame. So this one is by Chessie and Me. This is Esther Idison. This took me years to do. I kept putting it away. It has a lot of over one. It's really stitch heavy. But again, I think it has a gorgeous border. It's kind of multi-layered. Does that make sense? Hold on here. When I first did this, it was a stitch along through Country Sampler. So my chart is extremely thick because we got it in parts. And here's my framed piece of Esther Idison. Red House. I finished it in 2020, and I used Lakeside. I put Lakeside 36 count exemplar. Some of the exemplar I'm getting these days is a little darker than this. In this middle section, oops, I keep hitting my chandelier up here. In this right here, it says Adam and Eve, if you can read that. But this was challenging. So you had, this border, and then this border, and then that outer border. So it's kind of got a three-pronged border. And if I remember right, it wasn't super consistent. And the best way to get your border to match up, in my opinion, is just to count. Do a section, count it, count the section before that. Do a section, count it, count the section before it, and then just keep going like that. The next one I want to show you is a Plum Street. It's not a reproduction, but another one that I think just is a gorgeous border. And that is Liberty's Welcome. Liberty's Welcome by Plum Street. Love this one. It was a fun one to stitch too. here. It's big. So the side borders have all these like flowers and stuff. But the top and bottom borders are just like this little strawberry border. So you've got these beautiful side borders. And a lot of times you'll have a 3-sided border, but to have one that the 2 sides match and the top and bottom match, I think it's kind of unique. So I did this one in 2018. Liberty's Welcome. I love this kind of stitching. Big house, big yard. It's just fun. You know, you can work on different aspects depending on your kind of, not mood, but I get tired sometimes. You know, when you stay up till 2 in the morning, sometimes you're kind of tired. Actually, that's the time I can just like go. This Allison that was sitting by me at our last stitch group, she said, "Oh, I stay up late too." I said, "There's something about the quiet of the house. There's no like running through my brain. I need to get up and do laundry. I need to put, set out some meat for supper. None of that's running through my brain. It's just all about stitching for me." And I haven't always done that. I haven't always had the luxury of being able to stay up that late and get up a little later in the morning. Liberty's Welcome by Plum Street. If you hear a big crash, I have a couple more to show you. The next one is a Halloween one, and these next 3 are Stacy Nash pieces. This is a fabulous border, and this is Halloween at Hollyberry. I have done 3 of the Hollyberry. I have not done spring. I think there is a spring at Hollyberry. I don't remember it being as striking as these. So this is basically a 3-sided border. Although some of those flowers kind of come into where that gate is. I love this. Somebody asked me what linen I did this on. It calls for 18th Century Rook by R&R. I don't know. I may have done that. I love the way it has these lines on it. So this is Halloween and Hollyberry. See these lines that are on the linen, kind of the dye marks. To me, it just looks it's just cool. So this is Halloween at Hollyberry by Stacy Nash. Some of my frames are from Total Framing. Some of them are from Heart's Desire in Wichita. And I think one of them is from the Old Mill Stitchery. The next one is Christmas at Hollyberry. I know this is out of season, but since Rachel brought up this beautiful border, I thought, oh, I've never thought about showing beautiful borders. So, Christmas at Hollyberry. These are the one. This is the piece that has, it's almost like a fern leaf and then berries. And this one, some of these borders are kind of fiddly. They're not for the faint of heart. So this is Christmas at Hollyberry. And no, I do not put glass. Everybody asks, well, how do you clean it? I either just dust it off or I have a compressor that I can use air to blow dust off. I just don't really have that much trouble. I don't have them in the sunlight. I don't have them in my kitchen, and I don't have them in my long arm room. My long arm room has too much dust coming off of my long arm and the fabric that's in there and the batting. My kitchen, I don't want smells of, tuna, whatever. I don't want smells on my... So, and we have a pocket door, so if I'm cooking something that's really stinky, my husband always lights a candle. He thinks that helps, and I guess it does. So this one is Christmas at Hollyberry, and the border is, oh gosh, it's just fabulous. I don't know if I carried my stitches on that or not. between on those red berries. I doubt it, but I could have. Usually I don't carry more than 2 to 3 stitches. And it also depends on how light my fabric is. Because if you have a really, really light fabric, you know, a red's going to show through. Whereas if you have like that 18th century rook on that Halloweened Holly Berry, your stitches aren't going to show through. And then the next one I want to show you, I only have a couple more, so bear with me. This is Summered Holly Berry. And again, beautiful borders. These are like, now these berries I probably did carry. Oh. So this one is, and I did this a long time ago because this one was framed at the Old Mill Stitchery and I think they closed in 2016. Do I have a date on here? Probably not. I don't see one. Anyway, this is Summered Holly Berry. The berries were just fun. I don't know that mine is perfect. You know, I could have gotten off, but I think I pretty much counted good and it came out good. Summered Holly Berry. A couple more. That's Christmas. I already showed you that one. Okay. The next one is Martha Pudsey. I think Rachel showed this pattern last night. Martha Pudsey by the Scarlet House. And there's also Rachel Howells. I didn't get that off the wall because it's really a heavy frame. Martha Pudsey. It's got, I call it the lollipop. Oh, I'm flashing. And this is a really heavy frame too. Ugh. Martha Pudsey by the Scarlet House. This one I think I used, it was either Weak Straw or Sand Dune. And I used the silks. I keep hitting my chandelier. So look at that border. It's just fabulous. I love this piece. Love it. I probably have more Scarlet, other than Blackbird, I have more Scarlet House finished than any other designer. Okay. I'm going to show you 2 more that aren't framed that need to be. Well, 3 more that have great borders. This one is 7 Sheep. Let's see, did I get out the chart? Yes. Again, 7 Sheep by Scarlet House. And this border was, it was challenging. Make sure I show you the right side of the piece. So obviously it's not framed, but this border is like, goes every which way, has different color leaves, different colored flowers. The acorn tree is cool too. But this is basically a 3-sided border because it starts in those pots at the bottom. And then goes up to kind of a point at the top. The colors are really interesting. When I started it and when I pulled the colors, I was like, ooh, now that's a bright yellow and a bright pink. But somehow it just works with that green. It just works. So Tanya, kudos to you for such a great design. The next one, I didn't pull the chart, but this is Merrily, Merrily We Welcome Spring by Blackbird. And this one I like because look at the bottom border. Well, let me show you it this way. Merrily, Merrily We Welcome Spring. I did this a few years ago. See, the bottom border has those birds. This is not a reproduction, but it's just a fabulous. Has those birds. And then the sides and the top border are the same. So it's basically three-sided repeat border. And then the bottom is that fabulous border with the birds. Can you see it? I don't know what you're seeing. Just fun. So that's another one that needs to be framed. And then the last one I want to show you. This was my January start finish. I always do a sampler that I try to finish in January. I think I went into like the first couple days of February, but this is Elizabeth Watt by Milady's Needle. Another one that I need to have framed, but another one with a really pretty border. Again, where the three sides are the same and then the bottom is different. So here's the side borders and the top border. And then this is the bottom border. How cool is that? Are you seeing it? I don't know what I'm showing. Let's do it this way so I can see what I'm showing you. There we go. Just cool. This again has some pretty unique colors. You know, you've got some bright pinks, you've got some... Usually I don't think of like that evergreen kind of color as going well with like, you know, like an olive color, but somehow on this one, it just is, this is to me is stunning. I saw this framed at the attic when I went for the only time I went to summer school. It was in 2019, I think. And I saw this framed on the wall and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to stitch this. And I'm so glad I did. I just love it and I need to have it framed. So that's all I have to show you today. I hope you've, if you haven't watched Rachel, Needle and Flax, and her wonderful border parade, go watch her. And make sure you like, subscribe with her as well. And I hope you all have a good day. I am determined to get my Lucy Calcott finished this month, so I may not be doing much sewing. I'm kind of low on quilts for customers, which is great because that gives me a little bit of a break. Maybe I can quilt a couple of my own. But thank you so much for the great response I had to my first quilt video. I don't know how often I'll do one. I'll try to do one toward the middle or end of May. They're fun. It took my husband a week to do all the picture inserts and all of that, but he did a great job, and I was very happy with the outcome of it. So thank you all for your great response for that. And I will let you go. I hope you're having a great stitching day. I hope it's beautiful weather and that you're getting a true picture of spring in your neighborhood. Flowers are starting to really pop out. So anyway, hope you all have a great day, and I will see you in a couple weeks. Thanks for watching. Love ya. Bye. I'm back. I didn't have to stand on the couch, so I thought I would get it out. This is Red House Sampler by Brenda Keys. And this was my January stitch a couple years ago. And I love this border. So it's not a reproduction sampler, but it's fabulous. This is, again, my style, red house, trees, birds. So I was able to get it off the wall without standing on the couch. So No one was harmed in the filming of this last part of the add-on video. So, again, bye. Love ya.